Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. This is a series that consists of spewing out assorted thoughts which arose from somebody who thinks too much, taking in, and generally loving various entertainment media by the boatload. These tidbits may be mini theories, observations, or simply jokes. Hopefully people will find them entertaining or at least interesting. And who knows, maybe they'll lead to others looking at what amuses them in different ways than before. Also, bear in mind that everything blabbed about in these videos comes from the perspective of somebody who's experienced every main story bit connected with whatever works currently being gone over. So spoilers are a definite. However, other works set in a shared continuity will typically solely be referenced in a way that only makes sense to anybody who's also experienced those ones fully up until their same time occurring points. Sort of a coded nod kind of deal. So, while things will be more fun for viewers who've indulged with an entire universe's works, nobody who has yet to do so will get non-experienced events spoiled. Now, with all of that out of the way, here we go. The fact that exciting bikers always get up immediately without ever suffering any injuries, coupled with their fans' lack of reaction beyond perpetual peppiness, can only mean one thing. This game portrays a universe in which humankind has evolved in such a way that everybody is forever consumed by adrenaline in the most literal, medically accurate sense possible. Bystanders less burdened by such sticky situation-solving, strength-saturated standard states would of course find activities that could easily turn impermanent disaster prevention chemical backed humans into organic ground paint to be the bare minimum thrill-generating level for boredom prevention. Thus, their thoroughly thought-through thrill thirsts would result in entire day consuming normal activities being quite unlike real life's TV watching and reading ballpark occupying ones. As for why engaging in, or at least viewing, trick-tackling, two-turning, tube turbo-toting, transport trailing is the main pastime of these chronically chemical-charged characters, it's all about coincidence and celebrities. See, in this wild wheelie wowed world, one of the first publicly known figures to possess an endless extremeness enabling genetic mutation would have been none other than Evel Knievel. The bafflingly bold biker's openness regarding his strange body quirks would have inspired every other perfectly persistent power pump possessor to very publicly take up stunt cycling in tribute to him. All the newly spotlight-soaked, supreme stoutness supplemented souls would go on to be very sought after as spouses, and eventually, after many centuries, their doubly durable daredevilry dedicated descendants would be so plentiful that the Earth's entire society revolved around crazy shaky bike riding. Everybody in the crowd wears identical clothing because mud and condiment stain proof outfits only come in one design. The citizens of recreational ridiculous ramp rider reality would obviously have such garments, as there's no way their scientific community could ignore such basic necessities, especially once it too became mostly motorbike worshipping adrenaline junkie inhabited. As for why said smudge shielded shirty stuff would only ever be manufactured in one shade and style, it'd be so absolutely everybody could see the clean Excitebike view enabling garb immediately upon entering a retail establishment. Nobody has time to browse in the world of thrill cycling after all. All those oil-constituted muddy spots were likely caused by garages no longer being a thing after humanity went down an always fight, never flight dedicated evolutionary path. Such places were, of course, replaced by constantly sidelined and street-located mechanics who would utilize their chemical-collected colossal charisma to fix busted bikes on the fly. Mr. Player-Controlled Racer, being the sole scarlet suit sporting stuntman, is likely because he's a newcomer sponsored by different folks. Competition winners in this universe probably perform a wheelie upon experiencing victory because such accomplishments get them so excited that they momentarily believe reaching escape velocity on a motorcycle is possible. Grassy flat track gaps likely serve as some sort of work-located action-packed medical exam that's meant to determine whether or not hypercyclists are in competition-capable condition. After all, if somebody couldn't push through the not-so-bike-friendly terrain with sheer willpower, then clearly there's less than 100% limit-breaking physiological goop within them. In the world of unending, flashy vehicular showdown, ignoring such a condition is akin to pretending being on fire isn't problematic. Hence, why these things must be exposed mid-race via clever traps. 2 laps are required per competition because ferocity fuel-filled folks don't have the patience for dealing with multiple, but still know that stamina deprivation is a real problem one can encounter. Thus, another activity cease-proof health check was implemented. Strangely colored terrain is present because astonishing maneuvers showcasing recreational vehicle battling is so important that all space travel-related scientific hoopla has been dedicated to terraforming new planets solely for the sake of massive track quantity production. This looks like a removed piece of freeway. Regular road development and maintenance would of course be so less important than free-flowing funky footwork featuring field forging that parts for such places get routinely removed in order to make their crazy crowd-containing counterparts more glorious. Falling features fully frantic front flipping, no matter how quickly one is going or what they are doing when a tumble occurs. This could be because any unintended change in an ecstatic cyclist's current activity makes them so on edge that they start shaking with fury and or alertness uncontrollably as a sort of adrenal normalcy generated defensive measure. Those aero deals are most likely just some sort of heat absorption tech that was developed by researchers in order to make motorbikes possess going forever capacity equaling their naturally juiced up riders. The engines are super quiet during gameplay demo footage. This is probably because any recordings of these events inevitably wind up busted as a result of audience-originating massive scream clusters. Boiling bike benefiting brakes are apparently available atop air. This might be possible because the weighting requirement thrust upon these 2 excited bikers is so intolerable that they achieve temporary helicopter-resembling flight through impatience-triggered shaking alone. The looping of tracks with progressively shorter time demands is simply caused by competitors being so greatness-proving eager that they immediately declare their last record wasn't even close to good enough. Fancy footwork facilitated, fallen fearless folks are able to sabotage safe seating situations because their intense victory desire related frustration, coupled with that whole eternally excessively energized deal, grants them nearby earth shaking stepping power. The other, presumably more experienced, rocky ride relishing racers' tendency to crash is likely caused by concussion stemming permanent basic world perception insufficiency. These constant head blow originating general awareness lack equipped individuals suffering is so intense that some of them can't even realize they are repeatedly crashing into the same more or less stationary object. Purple outfits aren't worn during the award ceremonies because the TV networks only want 2 visibility levels for bloodstain, plain as day and basically unnoticeable. This would be because there are new sponsorship associated people in the crowd at all times, particularly ones of the detergent brand representing variety. Such folks, of course, know that in their ludicrous fastness embracing world, advertisements featuring people coming from nowhere and instantly obliterating stains are the only way to sell cleaning products. Thus, contracts were formed so these lovely sales reps would never experience the grand embarrassment of randomly rubbing racers that weren't truly covered in escaped vein juice. More intriguing than usual, cycling participants are granted opportunities to design tracks of their own on occasion, so doctors can observe them and ensure that the brain damage isn't too severe. Racers' completion times are totally irrelevant during player-produced path patrolling because testing that other thing is far more important. time around, riders radiate upon insufferable hotness experience in conjunction with their tire-carried tools. This is obviously because the Versus version features androids as opposed to supercharged, self-aware flesh piles. Said ridiculously radical robot racers are, of course, utilized by tricky business-enjoying, research-focused organizations to determine whether or not recently discovered planets are worth turning into new track hosting globes. Only 5th base placement is needed to advance this time around because said cyber cyclists aren't truly competing with one another. The displayed rankings aren't used to determine who's the best. They are merely meant for weeding out defectives. Additional arena adaptability assessing automatons perform a solo lap before the rival confronting begins because their head cameras must be verified as new atmosphere handling capable machinery in order to help ensure that enough footage is procured for trackologists. The smiley trucks in bonus stages are probably filled with spare parts, while their unhappy counterparts are likely where busted brain-bearing bots get sent to be disposed of. Congratulations is missing the letter S because those supermind-possessing machine people competitors in this version have deemed its inclusion pointless. Helmets are kept on for the failure ceremony because execution-bound artificial life forms are forbidden from showing their faces. Trophies in 2-player mode appear to be much smaller, as do their recipients. This is clearly some kind of amusement park and/or training facility meant to help children properly prepare for their potentially wheelie-packed futures. Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.